Want to see exactly what Rolex watches are worth in 2026? Today, we're breaking down 14 Rolex models, from entry-level to the most opulent references. You're getting retail price changes from last year, secondary market values, and collector insights for each watch. Whether you're buying your first Rolex, hunting a grail, or tracking investment potential, this guide covers the latest numbers so you know which references are appreciating, which are holding steady, and which might surprise you. Let's get into it. Starting with number 1, the Oyster Perpetual 41, reference 124300. This reference saw a sharp and telling price increase, jumping from $6,400 in 2025 to $7,050 in 2026. That's a $650 increase, roughly 7% year over year. And it wasn't accidental. Rolex knows exactly where this sits. It's the most desirable non-sport steel Rolex in the catalog. Rolex quietly turned the OP41 into a scarcity play by rotating and discontinuing dial colors, pushing buyers straight to the secondary market. In 2026, most OP41s trade between $8,000 and $9,500, with turquoise and coral red dials stretching even higher. The retail increase doesn't scare buyers. It just normalizes higher market pricing. This model isn't rising because it's complicated. It's rising because Rolex successfully positioned simplicity as exclusivity. If you missed retail, you're paying the premium, and that's by design. Number 2, the Air-King, reference 126900. The 2026 price move is quiet but intentional. Retail climbed from $7,750 to $8,150, a 5.1% increase. And that tells you exactly how Rolex views this model. It's not being pushed as a hype piece, it's being stabilized. What changed isn't demand, it's credibility. Since the 2022 redesign, the Air-King stopped being the awkward outlier and became a legitimate professional Rolex. The 2026 price increase reflects that correction, not speculation. On the market, the Air-King now trades around $8,500 to $9,500, slightly above retail. It's one of the few Rolex models where market price actually tracks retail, not hype premiums. This watch isn't climbing fast because it isn't chasing flex buyers. If you want a Rolex that holds its ground without drama, this is it. Number 3, the Explorer 36, reference 124270. Retail moved from $7,500 to $7,900 in 2026, a modest 4.7% bump. Rolex isn't trying to turn the Explorer into a hype machine. They're preserving its role as the brand's purest tool watch. What's driving this increase isn't speculation, it's correction. The return to 36mm fixed the mistake of the short-lived 39mm era that alienated purists. Collectors wanted proportion, history, and restraint. Rolex listened. In 2026, the Explorer 36 trades around $8,500 to $9,500, just above retail. Buyers aren't paying for scarcity theater. They're paying for legitimacy. This model holds value because it represents continuity, not trend chasing. It's not flashy, and that's the point. Functional, historically grounded, and quietly resilient. This is Rolex distilled. Number 4, the Submariner No-Date, reference 124060. This saw one of the most aggressive price moves in Rolex's 2026 lineup. Retail jumped from $9,100 to $10,050, a 6.2% increase in a single year. That's not inflation padding. That's Rolex acknowledging what the market has been saying for years. Collectors don't see the No-Date as the cheaper sub. They see it as the pure Submariner, closer to the original 1950s design. Rolex knows demand for the 124060 is structurally stronger than supply. The price correction was inevitable. In 2026, this watch trades around $12,000 to $14,000. That premium is stable, not speculative. This isn't hype volatility like a Daytona spike. It's sustained, utility-driven demand from collectors who actually wear their watches. One of the safest steel Rolex buys you can make right now. Number 5, the Explorer 2, reference 226570. Retail climbed from $10,200 to $10,600 in 2026, a modest $400 increase, well below what Rolex pushed through on Submariners. That tells you everything about where this model sits. Rolex isn't testing demand here. It already knows the Explorer 2 has a stable, loyal audience, not a hype-driven one. The market reflects that discipline. In 2026, secondary market prices sit around $11,000 to $13,000, with the polar white dial consistently outperforming black due to heritage and collector bias. If you're buying expecting explosive appreciation, you're wrong. But if you want a Rolex that holds value, wears tough, and avoids hype volatility, the Explorer 2 is doing exactly what it should. Quietly staying solid, no drama, pure reliability. Number 6, the GMT-Master II Sprite, reference 1-26720 VTNR. Retail jumped from $11,300 to $12,000 in 2026, a $700 increase. That is not inflationary housekeeping. That is Rolex acknowledging sustained demand and tightening availability on one of its newest GMT colorways. Outside the boutique, this reference trades around $15,000 to $18,000. That gap has not closed despite the retail hike. Buyers absorb the increase instantly. The green and black bezel is doing the heavy lifting. It's fresh, unmistakably Rolex, and distinct from the Pepsi and Batman without competing directly with them. New GMT colorways with controlled supply don't normalize quickly. This isn't a flip forever watch, but it holds value brutally well. If you're assuming this premium is temporary, you're underestimating Rolex's playbook entirely. Number 7, the Datejust 41, white Rolesor, reference 1-26334. This took one of the biggest silent jumps in Rolex's 2026 lineup. Retail moved from $10,600 to $11,850, a $1,250 increase. Significant for a non-sports model. Rolex isn't testing demand here. It already knows this reference sells effortlessly. In 2026, market prices sit around $12,500 to $14,000, trading above retail even after a sharp hike. Demand absorbed the increase without resistance. White Rolesor is the sweet spot. Steel keeps it wearable and familiar, while the white gold fluted bezel adds just enough prestige to separate it from entry steel Datejusts. If you think this is just a Datejust, you're missing the point. Rolex raised the price because this watch behaves like a blue-chip asset. Not exciting, just reliable. And Rolex prices reliability aggressively. Number 8, the Sea Dweller. Reference 1-26600. This didn't just get more expensive in 2026. It got repositioned. Retail jumped from $13,400 to $14,550, a $1,150 increase, or 6.7%, putting it firmly above the Submariner and closer to Deepsea territory. Rolex is making it very clear. This isn't a niche tool anymore. It's a flagship professional diver, and that move did not hurt demand. In 2026, market prices sit around $15,500 to $17,000, trading above retail even after a heavy hike. Collectors accept the premium. The Red Sea Dweller text matters more than people admit. It directly taps into vintage double red DNA, giving the watch emotional weight the standard Submariner can't replicate. If the Submariner is the everyday icon, the Sea Dweller is the serious one. Bigger, tougher, less common, priced accordingly. Number 9, the Deepsea, reference 136660. This didn't get a cosmetic price bump, it got a validation increase. Retail pushed from $14,600 to $15,550 in 2026, a $950 jump, and the market absorbed it without resistance. In the secondary market, prices sit around $16,500 to $18,500, with the D Blue James Cameron dial consistently at the top end. That premium isn't accidental. The Cameron Association gives the Deepsea something most Rolexes don't have, a real-world extreme achievement tied directly to the watch's purpose. This isn't a Submariner alternative. At 44 millimeters, nearly 18 millimeters thick, and rated to 3,900 meters, it's overkill by design. Rolex knows most buyers will never need it, and that's exactly why it works. Value retention is stronger than the Sea Dweller. Nothing else Rolex makes feels this extreme. Number 10, the Yacht-Master 42 Titanium, reference 226627. Rolex deliberately repositioned this watch. Retail moved from $15,250 to $16,050 in 2026, and unlike most Yacht-Masters, the market didn't push back. On the secondary market, this reference trades around $18,000 to $20,000, firmly above retail. That alone separates it from almost every other Yacht-Master, a line historically known for weak resale. The reason is simple. This is Rolex's first real commitment to Grade 5 titanium in a modern sports watch, and collectors noticed immediately. Production appears tighter than standard steel models, reinforcing demand. If this were steel, nobody would care. Titanium is doing all the heavy lifting, and that's exactly why the value holds. One of the very few modern Rolex releases where the price increase actually feels completely earned. Number 11. The Cosmograph Daytona Steel, reference 116500LN. The 2026 retail increase from $16,000 to $16,900 barely scratches the surface of its real market strength. This is one of those rare Rolex models where retail value is essentially irrelevant. The secondary market dominates the conversation. Collectors continue paying $28,000 to $35,000, nearly double retail, reflecting the Daytona's scarcity, iconic status, and motorsport heritage. Value retention isn't just good here, it's legendary. Supply is intentionally constrained. Demand is relentless. Each new dial variation or subtle update creates a spike in desirability. If you're buying a steel Daytona today, understand this. You're not just buying a watch. You're buying a trophy, a status symbol, and a nearly guaranteed asset in the secondary market. The waiting list is measured in decades, not years. Number 12. The Sky Dweller, reference 336934. Rolex's most advanced complication in steel and white gold, featuring an annual calendar and dual time zone. In 2026, retail increased from $16,000 to $17,750, a $1,750 jump, representing nearly 11% year over year. The blue dial with Jubilee bracelet is especially sought after, commanding the highest premiums in the secondary market. Sky Dwellers now trade between $20,000 and $25,000, reflecting strong collector interest and limited availability. Its combination of practicality, technical innovation, and Rolex prestige makes it a highly desirable travel watch. Collectors value the Sky Dweller not only for its complications, but for its elegant balance of sporty and formal design. This is not a watch that shouts. It whispers luxury to people who understand complications. And in 2026, that audience is growing fast. Number 13. The Submariner No-Date two-tone, reference 126613LB, known as the Bluesy among collectors, and for good reason. That sunburst blue dial and matching Cerachrome bezel, combined with oyster steel and 18-karat yellow gold, is instantly recognizable worldwide. In 2026, retail jumped from $17,000 to $18,900, a notable $1,900 increase, reflecting both rising demand and Rolex's consistent pricing strategy. Market value now sits around $20,000 to $22,000, consistently trading above retail due to scarcity and strong collector interest. Two-tone models like the Bluesy are prized for their value retention, accessibility compared to full gold options, and their undeniable visual impact. This is the Submariner for the person who wants more than steel but isn't ready for full gold. Classic, recognizable, and appreciating. The Bluesy earns its nickname every single day. And finally, number 14, the Day-Date 40 in yellow gold, reference 228238. The ultimate symbol of prestige and authority in Rolex's entire lineup. Presidents wear this watch. CEOs wear this watch. And in 2026, it got significantly more expensive. Retail increased from $44,000 to $48,000, a $4,000 rise reflecting both material costs and Rolex's ongoing adjustments for precious metal models. Market value sits between $50,000 and $55,000, often exceeding retail, particularly for green dial and diamond set variants, which command the strongest premiums. The Day-Date 40 combines Rolex's finest engineering, full gold craftsmanship, and timeless design on the iconic President bracelet. It doesn't just tell time, it tells your status. Highly collectible, sought by leaders, celebrities, and connoisseurs worldwide. This is the Grail reference for full gold collectors. And in 2026, the price reflects exactly that. And that wraps up our 2026 Rolex Price Guide. 14 models, retail hikes, market premiums, and collector favorites. Whether you're investing, gifting, or expanding your collection, these numbers give you a clear picture of what's hot and what holds value. Remember, Rolex isn't just a watch. It's prestige, history, and potential appreciation all on your wrist. Hit like, subscribe, and comment which Rolex you're adding to your collection this year. See you in the next one.